as good Moed, as previously discussed, we have a prohibition of performing melacha on Chol Hamoed. There are certain exceptions to that, which we outlined previously. One of the melachos, which the Mishnayos say we cannot do, is to write on Chol Hamoed. And the Mishnayos, there are a few Mishnayos which seem to outline that there are some things which are prohibited to write, but there are some things that are permitted to write. And it is not abundantly clear how to define that difference. The big question is going to be, what is the status of our writing today? As we've spoken about, one of the exceptions, one of the reasons to permit something is if it's called a maisa hedjot, a basic act, a basic skill, not something that is a professional skill. So what is our writing? Clearly, safrus, or any professional calligraphy or the like, would be considered a professional writing, and therefore, unless the davar avid or something similar, it would be prohibited. What about just writing a letter to a friend? So there, the Rambam seems to indicate that it would be mutter, and that would include any casual type of writing, a casual letter, basic notes, signing a check, etc. Primarily because that would not be maisa uman, because one is not so particular about how that writing looks. They just want to send that off. And that's also considered a yom tov need. And if we have something which is a maisa hedjot, which is a basic skill, not something that's a maisa uman, then for a need of yom tov, it would be mutter. And that is the conclusion of the Shulchan Aruch. However, the Ramah takes a more cautious approach. And the Ramah says that there are those that consider even our writing today to be maisa uman, to be more professional, to be a skill that maybe not everyone knows. We take it for granted that everyone knows how to write, but that wasn't always the case. And therefore, the Ramah says that we should in fact be machmir to avoid writing. And the Mishnah Berurah writes that midina me'ikar adin, it really is mutter, that we assume that our writing is not maisa uman, and therefore one could go ahead and write in a case of need for letzorach moed, for the cases which we mentioned of even something like just keeping track of something or signing checks or even a letter to send to someone, which is no longer so relevant. But in those situations, says Mishnah Berurah, that is, we do assume that's mutter mi ikar adin. We do fundamentally assume that would be allowed, but the Mishnah Berurah suggests doing it in a case of shinui, such as, he says, in this type of situation, since really it is mutter, anyway, he says that even writing letters on a little bit of a slant or something not so straight would suffice for a shinui under these circumstances, and particularly in a case of immediate need. And therefore, if one is able to make it not as neat or to write in a slant or something similar, then that is the recommended, preferable approach. But in case of need, one can do so even without that, and certainly in a case of davar avid or tzorchei rabim as well. Have a fantastic day.